All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to our friend Noah Rothman and lead into it with the cut from Maria Harf, who else? I see where the U.S. is naming a terrorist hit list. We're naming individuals that we want to get. We're naming targets we want to hit. Hey, ISIS! Here you go. Here's our battle plan. It's not, forget it. The ripping has no significance. Hey, ISIS, here you go. Here's who we're targeting. Here's where we're targeting. You prepare now. Here's Maria Harf. Get them jobs.
Now what we're doing is trying to take their leaders and their fighters off the battlefield in Iraq and in Syria. That's really where they flirt.
Are we killing enough of them?
We're killing a lot of them, and we're going to keep killing more of them. So are the Egyptians, so are the Jordanians. They're in this fight with us. But we cannot win this war by killing them. We cannot kill our way out of this war. We need, in the longer term, medium and longer term, to go after the root causes that leads people to join these groups, whether it's lack of opportunity for jobs.
All right, I keep playing this, I know, but I got to get reaction from Noah Rothman, associate editor for hotair.com. Hello, Noah.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I mean, when I saw this last night, I couldn't sleep. I haven't shut up about it. This is not something, I'll keep saying this, and I'm going to get in trouble, but I mean it. If this was a college kid, you know, expressing her utopian liberal viewpoint that she just wrote in her term paper, that'd be one thing. But she is speaking for the United States government. We can't kill our way out of this. We can't beat ISIS by killing them. We got to basically find jobs for them. I mean, what are we hearing here?
Yeah, it's positively terrifying. It's of a piece with the president's statements to Vox.com, for example, and on social media that climate change represents a greater threat to American life and liberty than terrorism does, which really just shocks the conscience of, I think, a majority of American people. And that statement kind of goes to the mythologizing, as you put it, of the post-war Marshall Plan and the mini-Marshall Plan that was applied to the Soviet Union after the collapse of the Eastern Bloc. But what's missing there is the notion that those rebuilding efforts, those restructuring efforts, were the result of a victory in a war. You can't have a Marshall Plan without a victory in World War II. You can't provide the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, with economic assistance if the Soviet Union still exists. You need to have a victory in a war in order to have a restructuring and a rebuilding effort. So they're really putting the cart before the horse there, and it is, as you say, a utopian liberal view of history.
Yeah, it's just frightening as could be. All right, you have a story up on Hot Air right now about Jeb Bush, and you talk about, rightfully so, that the person with the foreign policy problem in this election, if she runs, is Hillary Clinton. But they're trying to give Jeb Bush a foreign policy problem. Even though he has no foreign policy record, they're trying to tie him to George W. Bush, correct?
Yeah, and they're also doing the same thing with Scott Walker. NBC News did this the other day. It's just they're attempting to create foreign policy weaknesses for the Republican presidential candidates, I think, because Hillary Clinton has the most glaring foreign policy weakness. It is the extent of her candidacy beyond her identity. But yeah, there was a kind of odd piece in the Washington Post that noted that Jeb Bush had kind of stumbled when he mentioned the word Iraq, and that was indicative, they thought, of this universe of insecurities that the Bush family now has about Iraq, because the Iraq War is, in the press corps, universally understood to be a debacle. And so they're applying their sensibilities there. And I think that tarring somebody by virtue of their blood relations is a little dubious, but if we're going to do that, you have to include the fact that George H.W. Bush had a spectacularly successful foreign policy presidency. He managed to, after the midwifing of the collapse of communism by the Reagan administration, he managed to create a very soft space where the Eastern Bloc could break apart peacefully and without incident, and it didn't have to go that way. Yeah. In fact, that we need to really re-examine that period of history and give George H.W. Bush's administration the credit they are due. Scowcroft and Baker, they really engineered a miracle that ended the Cold War after 46 years of hostilities.
Let's talk about the piece you wrote the other day, yesterday, I think. Mayor Bloomberg, Michael Bloomberg, made some comments. We got about a minute, so tell us what he said and the double standard here.
Yeah, he said something that's not factually inaccurate, that the demographic responsible for most urban gun violence is young, male, and black. And while that is true, he also went on to say that it is the responsibility of people in authority in urban centers to keep guns out of the hands of this demographic. That's A, constitutionally dubious, and B, extraordinarily racially insensitive.
Yeah.
uttered by anybody else, it would be a giant story.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. We got to keep tabs on Mr. Bloomberg, and you don't hear much from him, but this certainly sticks out like a sore thumb. Good job in picking it up. I thank you, Noah, as always, and, of course, read Noah and all the other fine people at hotair.com. Speak to you soon.
Have a good one.
All right, you too. All right, folks, up next, Harvard Law School professor and Newsmax contributor Alan Dershowitz. He'll be talking about the rise of anti-Semitism in Europe and Netanyahu. That's all coming up right after the break, and that's right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax Television.